Greetings, and welcome to the latest edition of Bottom Line Triangle. Today, we'll be chatting with one of the most prominent developers in North Carolina, John Kane, about big developments around North Hills and his team's plan for other hotspots around the Triangle. We'll also share some interesting stats on the wage gaps among the Triangle counties. We'll be right back after this short message from our sponsor, Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina.
I am so
Why
frustrated.
can no one help me?
Waiting
This is
to
a nightmare.
work. I think it's healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all. Starting with you. Yes, you, Daryl. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting your benefits, prescriptions, and details all in one place. Convinced?
No. But it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina. Making healthcare better for all. Starting with you.
Well, welcome back. Today we have a very special guest, John Kane, founder of Kane Realty. Well, welcome, John, to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, so let's start. I mean, everybody knows about Kane Realty. You guys pretty much built North Hills, and which has become its own sort of area in the Raleigh area. Did you ever imagine that North Hills is going to sort of mushroom into something this humongous, frankly?
No, not really, because we started with 15 acres over where Total Wine is and Vivace in that area now, and that was all we had. And then we bought the old mall site, the 30 acres, and that became what it is becoming. And then we started buying across the street, and it's just progressed. And now we bought 33 more acres just beyond that, going up Navajo Drive. So
how many actual buildings are there in North Hills today? If you have to guess, I mean, you probably.
I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know. I'm not sure how anybody would answer that, because how would you measure a building? Like the Renaissance is a building. All of the shopping area.
I guess commercial buildings.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, there I don't know, 6 commercial office buildings. There's a lot of ground floor retail. There's probably 14 or so residential buildings in there, and more under construction.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
But
I mean, it's like a few million square feet, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a number of million.
And to think about this, 25 years ago?
We started in 2000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was all you had as a JCPenney?
No, first we bought the old, where the Winn-Dixie used to be, which is where Total Wine is now. We bought that first.
Oh, we did not know.
I didn't know that was a
Winn-Dixie.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the original mall was at actually Winn-Dixie Strip Center with about, 12,000 feet of shops in a Winn-Dixie. And then Mr. Richards moved it across the street, and the Winn-Dixie built over there with the strip over there. And then he took and enclosed the mall and did the whole mall enclosure and added Penny and Ivy's at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
It's so interesting to me because when I first moved here, which was in early 2022, like none of what you recently built was there. Like you just demolished things. The construction fencing was up, and so it feels like I haven't been here that long, and it's totally transformed. All the new buildings and everything.
It's changed pretty dramatically.
But so many people feel like North Hills is built up, done. You don't need to do anything else. So how do you feel about that? And especially with you won the uphill battle of the rezoning of those 4 different sections. So like, how would you kind of answer people who feel like North Hills needs to stop growing?
Why would you stop growing? I mean, we're not increasing traffic. That's a misnomer.
Right. Density cap.
Well, no, not so much that, but recapture. Mm-hmm. DOT on their website, you can go look at the car count in 2003 and the car count in 2023, decreased by 6,500 cars a day on Six Forks Road, decreased by 3,000 cars a day on Last Mill Road.
Okay.
The reason for that is recapture. If people stay there, they come there, they're not having to go other places. If you work in a suburban office building in the park, you're going everywhere to get a cup of coffee and to meet anybody, to do whatever you do. You don't need to do that at North Hills. People live there, they walk there, they stay at the hotels, they go to the restaurants, they do what they do, and they stay there, so it recaptures the cars. So we're going to continue to add density there, and that will be, we should have density in downtown, more density in downtown, and more density in the appropriate places, not everywhere. Sprawl is what creates traffic and traffic problems.
Yeah, speaking of Six Forks Road and the city canceling that widening, are you talking to the city at all about how to kind of make traffic flow there better or be easier?
You know, we were disappointed that that happened. Obviously, if they had, when the bond was approved and they had done it, it would have cost whatever it would have cost.
Way less.
You know, 30 million or less, and now it's cost prohibitive for them. So it's unfortunate they didn't move, but that's a constant problem with municipalities in general, not just Raleigh. They just move at a snail's pace, and so by the time you get ready to do it, it's going to cost twice. We have the same problem over at Dix Park with the project that we're doing over there, and like with the road. I mean, that should have been done 3 years ago. They hadn't even started yet. They're surveying finally.
Talking about Lake Wheeler Road?
Yes. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're so far behind the eight ball. You know, Dix has done what they've done. My son's done the 2 high-rise buildings over there that you reported on this week. And we're doing the row and others over there. And all of that's going on, and you can't even drive like with the road because it's not safe.
Right.
You know.
That's tough. Now, how is your relationship with? Do you feel like they listen when you bring forward plans and rezoning efforts and all that? Do you feel the city is sort of in hand with you?
Listen, our city is awesome. We have an awesome city. We have a good city council. We have a great mayor. We have a great city manager. We have a great relationship with all the staff at the city. The permitting process is all those things. Yeah, it's compared to lots of places. It's
not
incredibly good.
It's true.
I
heard
can
that
it be
from a
better?
lot.
Yes, it can be better. It can always be better. But that's just reality. So our city's a great city, and it's a great place to work and live and do business.
I think, Kelly, you had mentioned, a couple of days ago about downtown South. Can you give us a sort of an update on what's going on there?
Yeah, happy to. So we're working hard on downtown South. We're working on moving the stadium, building a new stadium over there. That's getting really good traction for the soccer team.
So the stadium is going to be
that's
what?
still happening?
10,000, 15,000?
It'll probably be 12 to 15,000 to start with. Yes, that's moving along. We've got good receptivity at the West
Is there
County.
financing in place for that? Not yet.
We're working on that. Yes, with the county and the city. On
How
that.
long how much will it cost, do you think?
It's probably about a $250 million stadium and then infrastructure to go along with that. But, the chamber trip this year was to Kansas City. And one of the reasons for that is they had the first women's only pro soccer stadium there built there. And they've already expanded it, and the area is doing very well. The stadium's doing very well. The team's doing very well. So there was a reason for that too.
So the stadium comes first before any other development?
We're working on other development now, but we hope the stadium will open in late 28, early 29.
Okay. So I'm curious because, you sold the Peace Apartments above Publix and you sold the North Hills Apartments and some office buildings. Have you been doing that to sort of help raise capital for downtown South?
No, it's funny. In my world of capitalization, we own part of all of these properties, but our financial partners own much more than we do. And we're dictated by them. I didn't want to sell Peace. I didn't want to sell Park Central.
Oh, no.
And I don't always get what I want. So, I did want the rezoning.
Yes, you got that.
I did get that, in spite of my backdoor neighbors speaking against me. But
so do you have an anticipated, I know the financial markets are so tight and it's so hard to get financing. Do you have an anticipated timeline then for when maybe construction could start on downtown South?
I think the stadium is going to be the driver there. Yeah, as you know, you've been there, you've seen it. It's not, it's an industrial wasteland to a large degree. It's never been anything, yet it should be. It's right there at Saunders and 40. It's the best entry into downtown Raleigh,
No doubt.
by far the best, and it needs to be enhanced to make it the best looking entry to go there. So I think we'll probably start first projects maybe by the end of this year. Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
That's pretty much all the time we have. We have got one final question. So, Kelly, have at it.
Okay, I'm so curious because you bought Midline Raleigh, what your plan is there. I know that the eventual plan is to tear down the apartments and office towers, but what are you thinking for that space?
We've already got plans for there. So we'll probably be doing 5 projects there starting in 27 and 28. Mostly residential, a hotel. It'll be continued mixed use along there. Obviously, we'll do a bridge to connect over to Navajo Drive, so
nice.
that will be connectivity. As you probably know, the city is planning an overpass
Yes.
in that area that will tie into over on the other side of the street to tie into where Barrett Drive is, Wegmans, all of that area, which would be great. It'll be like the Last Mill overpass, no exchange,
yes.
just an overpass.
Yeah,
But that'll be another way to get out.
More
And then with the
connectivity.
bridge to Navajo, that's another way to get in and out of North Hills. So we're very excited about that and what Vin and Todd are doing next door to us. I mean, they built a beautiful building there, and they've got more plans coming. So that whole area is going to continue to.
Well, congratulations on all your efforts. Obviously, you're making the city more vibrant with all your developments. Thanks for your
Yes.
time, John.
it was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am so
Why
frustrated.
can no one help me?
Waiting is the worst. I think it's healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all. Starting with you. Yes, you, Daryl. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting your benefits, prescriptions, and details all in one place. Convinced?
No. But it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina. Making healthcare better for all. Starting with you.
Welcome back. So today we have with us Ben Tobin, Greater Raleigh reporter for the Triangle Business Journal. Ben did a really fascinating centerpiece for TBJ a couple of weeks ago on essentially wage disparity. Like certain counties, we have 100 counties, and you sort of looked at mainly at the Halo counties. But for the purpose of discussion, I think we should also bring in a little bit to Wake, Durham, and Orange as well, and the neighboring counties. But let's start with tell me what you found in your reporting and research.
I'm happy to answer that in just a second, Sugata, but I thought it would be fun to do an impromptu quiz of you and Becky just for a second here. So we're live. No judgment for getting answers wrong here, but I was just curious for you guys, and if you want to play along at home, what do you think the highest annual average wage was in 1980? So I was born in 97. I didn't realize wages were so low back in the 80s. This isn't adjusted for inflation or anything like that. If you had to take a guess, the county with the top wage and what that wage was.
Oh my gosh.
So again, no penalties for being wrong.
I would say, I don't know,
Mecklenburg?
$15,000. Yeah, Mecklenburg. Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys both a point here. Not really that there's points in this game. This is just all impromptu. But Mecklenburg, Becky is number 3. So great call on that. And Sugata, it's actually, so Transylvania County is number 1, and the wage was $15,527.
Bingo.
Boom.
So
Where's my prize?
And for you all listening at home or watching at home, they had no clue this was coming. So thank you all for being really good sports about it. We'll do that one more time here. This one maybe is a little bit more of a fair question. So I'm turning to it now. Sugata, no looking at your sheet in front of you. Top 5 counties for average wages in 2024, the most recent data we have. Top 5, 1 through 5. What do you think they are?
Oh gosh, I would imagine the 3 counties in the Triangle.
So Durham, Wake,
Durham,
Orange,
Orange, Mecklenburg.
So we got 4. We got 4
and,
top 5.
And I don't know. It could be I don't know, like all the neighboring Charlotte counties.
Moore,
If
Union,
it could be more Johnston, Chatham.
So think Triad actually here.
Guilford.
That's right, Guilford.
Not Guilford, surprisingly.
Oh, of course, because of Wake Forest, and it's Forsyth.
Forsyth. There we go. Becky, you got it. All right. So
After a few hints.
After a few hints, exactly.
After a few hints. I was doing a school project. I currently am working on a data analytics degree where you could pick any sort of data set that you wanted, and I really wanted to apply it to North Carolina. So I was like, let me take a look at what North Carolina data sets exist. Wages is always something that's fascinated me just as a topic. Minimum wage has been a fascination of mine for a long time. And I wanted to see how counties varied in terms of the average wages that they offered. That project took more of a look at what are some predictive factors that could go into average annual wages. This story took more of a look at some of these specific counties, but the two were kind of melded together in a certain way when you look at certain industries that are most predictive of wage success. And we can talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. But like you guys said through this quiz, the highest performers are those in the triangle. The ones I found the biggest surprises in are those more rural counties that are surrounding the triangle. Which ones performed well, which ones didn't when it came to its average annual wage offerings.
Right. Right.
So,
And
go ahead.
What
What's the biggest surprise?
Yeah, so the story I wrote and the reason I structured in such a way is the two biggest surprises for me were the high performer is Granville County. Admittedly, before I moved to North Carolina, I was not aware of a lot of these counties, to be fair. But Granville is a little bit more of a slower growing county right to the north of Durham, up I-85. I'm sure many of our listeners are aware of it. If you live in the area, if you're ever traveling from I-85 from Durham to Virginia, you drive through Granville County, you see it all the time. It's beautiful. You've got some great natural amenities there. But they rank the highest out of all Halo counties. We're not going to count Pitt County here. Right. Pitt County has ECU. Pitt County has a lot of biotech. Granville County is number 11 in the state. I believe the average annual wage was around $59,000 or so, which is above the statewide average. So that was a lot higher relatively. I didn't expect Granville County, without all this growth that you see in a Johnston County or a Chatham County or a Harnett County, to be nearly as high as it was.
So what employers are there? Why are they paying such high wages?
Yeah, so a lot of it comes down to manufacturing, and manufacturing is it's interesting when you think of manufacturing, you don't necessarily think that they are the absolute highest paying jobs. But when you look at manufacturing compared to other industries that are popular in some of these counties, you've got retail, you've got hospitality. Manufacturing actually is much, much higher in its pay. I was pulling some data today for January. The average weekly wage for a manufacturing worker was $1,450. For a retail worker, it was about half that at $775. So Granville County, 1 out of every 5 workers works in manufacturing, and that's reflected in some of their largest employers. You've got Bandag, I might be mispronouncing that, but they work on retread tires. You've got Certainteed, which works on roof shingles. You've got Alltech and Ontic, which work in Ontic's airplane manufacturing. Alltech works on equipment manufacturing. So manufacturing really is the bread and butter of Granville County. And
what is the average wage for Granville?
$59,336.
Okay, so I'm looking into the 2016 numbers. Basically, 10 years ago, it was 42,000, about 43,000, and they were ranked 9th. So you're right. I mean, it looks like all these new manufacturing bases has made a pretty big difference because it's up $17,000 average wage in 10 years. It's not even 10. What are these numbers?
8 years.
2024, right?
2016 to 2024.
Yeah, so 8 years.
And to your point, though, Sugata, Granville County's ranking is basically the same, though, from that time. So I think it's an important note to say that the employer base has remained really steady. A lot of these manufacturing companies are legacy manufacturing companies that are there. And with that, though, it's because it is such in Granville County, at least, has been such a steady industry. They've been kind of able to keep that base while, as cost of living, all those types of things have gone up, inflation, the wages have also risen a considerable amount.
So, Ben, if you look just a little bit of deviating from the crux of the story, I'm kind of curious to talk about Durham, Wake, and Orange too. While we have you, since you sort of broke down these numbers as well. Durham went from in 2016, again 8 years, 65,000 to 70 something, right? 79 was it?
I think Durham
was 98 or something.
98. Yeah,
I think it was 98.
Durham is
it has gone up almost 50%. From 65, you put
Is that all those medical people?
I don't know. Do you know?
It's funny. So I lived in Durham. Currently, I live in Clayton, and I always joke because I didn't cover and don't cover Durham, I know so much less about Durham than other places. I
wonder if it's RTP employers is definitely one.
I would think
RTP and Duke University and Duke Medical System.
Duke Medical.
Yeah,
a lot of doctors. Yeah, because I mean it is a stark difference.
A big chunk of RTP is in Durham County.
Mm-hmm. What is Wake in 2024?
Wake in 2024 is $76,807.
And in 2016, 8 years ago, same comparison 8 years ago, it was 54. So it was slightly less than. I mean, obviously it's still a pretty big jump, but it was slightly less than Durham's.
I mean, when we
percent.
talk about growth in the triangle, this is exactly what we're talking about, reflective of that.
This is what retailers want to see. This is what, and then talent.
They have money to spend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just, it's easy to chalk it up. And I'd be curious to go back and maybe adjust this all for inflation, right?
Yeah. So what is the final takeaway? We only have a minute left. What did you really like? And you went like, wow, this was amazing.
Yeah, time flies. I tell you, when we're having fun and doing some quiz shows here. I think the biggest takeaway for me that I really want to talk, I didn't talk too much about Harnett County, but growth isn't necessarily an indicator of wage growth. So that's my biggest takeaway. That's why I want the audience to take away. If a county is attracting tens of thousands of residents every year, or thousands of residents maybe is a better comparison, it doesn't necessarily mean that's where all the jobs are. There are a ton of commuters. You guys know I'm very passionate and interested in commuting. A ton of these communities that are growing rapidly are feeding into these.
They can't afford to live in Wake, but they work in Wake or something.
Exactly, Becky. And the high-paying jobs are in Wake, as we see. But in Harnett County, they don't quite have the manufacturing or industrial base, whereas Granville County, growing at a much, much slower pace.
Ben, one final note. Are these wages based on where the employer is located or whether employees' home addresses?
Where the employer is located.
Employer.
Right. So I would count into the Wake County job data despite living in Durham County at that time.
I got you. Okay. Well, listen, that's all the time we have, Ben. This is fascinating.
Thanks.
I'm sure you're going to follow up on this as you find new data. I know our readership will be extremely connected, if you may, because all these business decisions are made based on the economic strength of certain counties. And when the wages go up, it does offer, I'm sure, certain opportunities for them. So thank you for coming. We'll have you next time.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back. Today we have Colleen Briggs, who is the president of BCBS North Carolina Foundation. Welcome, Colleen.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me what the foundation does, what the sort of the purpose is, the mission of the foundation is. I know you work very, very closely with the company itself. And then perhaps we can generate a conversation about, the needs of the North Carolinians and how the foundation and the company sort of play a dual role in order to move that cause.
Yeah, well, I'm honored that I get to oversee the foundation, whose mission is to improve the health and well-being of customers and communities across this state. And as part of that, we have a vision that we want to make North Carolina one of the healthiest states in the country in a generation. And so what we do is we try to listen to communities and hear from them. What do they think are the biggest priorities? And that's what led to our strategic focus areas around youth mental health, improving health through food, and improving access to care in rural and underserved communities.
Yeah. Big job. Yeah. Becky?
So you've been there about 2 years?
Yes, that's correct.
What have you focused on the last 2 years?
So it really started with listening. We went to all 100 counties of the state to hear from communities. What do they think are the biggest challenges facing the state? And what do they think Blue Cross should be doing to help address it? And that's where we came up with these ideas around youth mental health, improving health through food, and improving access to care. It really came from the communities telling us what do they see as the biggest challenges. And then figuring out what could we do, not just with the foundation, but also with the company, to really bring the full force of our company to say, how do we bring every tool that we have to help achieve these visions to actually improve these big monumental issues facing the state?
So Colleen, tell me a little bit about the youth mental health. I know TBJ does a lot, and at least in recent years, in the last 2 years, involved in the sort of the adult workplace related mental health issues. I'm kind of curious what is going on in that space, in the youth mental health space. I believe you just came from Charlotte before we are taping this.
Yeah, so it's interesting. All across the state, we heard a consistent theme. We continue to hear this theme around the youth feeling lost, feeling a lack of belonging and connection. And that's leading to downstream issues around anxiety and depression. And what we're realizing is that there's so many interesting innovations that are happening across the state to help address it, but it's all fragmented. And so that's really what led to our focus area of how do we ensure that we go upstream and actually help people prevent and identify these issues early, then get them access to high quality mental health services where they need it. And then how do we also foster more supportive communities so that they have that connection and sense of belonging? And we're already seeing significant impacts just by working with community groups all across the state, scaling proven programs like our youth mental health first aid training. We've just trained more than 4,800 individuals across the state.
So what's mental health first aid?
Yeah, so it's a program that helps you spot the signs and symptoms of a child who might be struggling with mental health issues and helping direct them to the resources they need when they need it to actually help tackle these issues. And we're training people who interact with youth every day. So think about coaches or teachers, people who are out in the community working with kids and giving them the tools to be able to spot these signs and symptoms earlier.
So what about this year? Like what, by the end of 2026, what do you hope to have accomplished, and what programs are you really doubling down on?
Yeah, so I'll just give one example of one that is a huge priority. I think you all have talked a lot around just how expensive healthcare is. And I think we can all agree the system in North Carolina is not working. And
is it working anywhere? Really?
But we also know it's one of the most expensive states in the country here in North Carolina for healthcare.
Wonder why? Why do you think that's the case?
So I think there's a lot of different reasons. But I'm going to point to 5 that I think are particularly relevant. It's very complex, but I'd say one is around the prevalence of diet-related chronic conditions. I think the second is we see a lack of transparency in a lot of our system. The third is we do have a lot of consolidation.
In terms of pricing?
Yes, that's right. The third is we have a lot of consolidation in this state. The fourth, I would say we still have a lot of fragmentation in how services are being delivered, which means you might get duplicative tests or you might not have coordinated care. It's hard to navigate. And the finals, we still see huge access to care gaps across a lot of our state, which means if you don't have somewhere to go, you go to a hospital instead of going to primary care to get care, which we know costs more. So we do have some access gaps across the state.
So how do we, I mean, to Becky's question, by the end of 2026, among these 5, I mean, where do you think the company itself is sort of focusing on to bring, because it can't be done, all of it in one year, obviously, right? I mean, it's impossible. So where do you think you can see some success?
Yeah, so I would say the vision is how do we start to treat, right now, it feels like the entire system is focused on treating symptoms, which we know costs more. Couldn't we instead invest in prevention, which we know costs less? And I'll give you a concrete example. Diet-related chronic conditions is one of the biggest cost drivers in the state of North Carolina. We know that we see 50,000 deaths every year in North Carolina around diet-related chronic conditions. And that's going to cost the state another $65 billion over the next 5 years. And that's huge because we know it's also a drag on businesses that bear the brunt of a lot of these costs. And it's a drag on productivity for our workforce and others. So here's the thing. We know what works, though. We know that when you invest in lifestyle changes like improvements in diet and food, that we actually see people improving their health and we're seeing lower costs. So that's an example of something where we are committing all of our resources as a company to try to improve health through food. And we're going to do it in 3 ways. We're trying to figure out how can we help people actually live healthier lives by eating healthier food.
Right.
So we're going to do first is how do we make it easier for an individual to eat healthier? And that's things like hosting teaching kitchens in a lot of our Beyond Blue neighborhood centers all across the state. And we also offer free nutrition counseling benefits so you can get that customized support you need. The second is how do you scale this kind of food as medicine programs into the healthcare system? And so we are working on a program. We're one of the only payers in the country that offers food as medicine. So that's no cost to you food and a nutrition coach for our individuals who have type 2 diabetes. And we're actually seeing significant health improvements and cost savings.
Wow.
And then the third is how do we make sure that everyone, no matter where you live, has access to healthy food so that you can actually take these behaviors and actually adopt them because you need access to be able to do it. So these are the kind of things, if we invest earlier, we can actually improve health outcomes, improve savings and get a system that works better for the state.
That's fantastic. I mean, we just have a minute left. Becky, you asked the last question.
In terms of the impact and what sort of impact reports do you gather on how, I know it's a long-term process. You'd rather have people eating healthy than buying weight loss drugs.
Right.
So how do you, follow through to prove that what you did actually had an impact on, say, costs?
It's a great question. So some of our programs that we measure, we look at things like, let's say we're focused on a population with type 2 diabetes. We actually look at, do we see blood sugar levels improve? And the answer is yes in our programs. We also track, do we see physical and mental health improvements? And the answer is yes. We see significant improvements when they engage in these kind of food as medicine programs.
So improvements meaning fewer claims for those things, or?
Well, it's actually reported data. So they come back and they actually show. We're able to pull and we're able to see that their blood sugar levels are actually decreasing because they've engaged in this program. We're seeing, we also have the quantitative data to be able to show that it does drive cost savings, to your point. So we are seeing that it's delivering cost savings. Right. But then we also get qualitative feedback. People say they feel more confident. Yeah. They feel healthier.
No doubt.
And they're seeing mental health improvements.
And that is already proven, right? When you eat healthy. Thank you for joining us today. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just say thanks. It's great.
It was, you were great. Thank you for tuning in another edition of Bottom Line Triangle. We'll be back again next time with more in-depth business news and analysis. So make sure you like and subscribe.